Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to Sicko Sound Off. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. And what's happened to this banner? Let's change this color. But anyways, in the meantime, welcome to Sicko Sound Off. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. And we have a pretty fun show tonight, I guess. So we're in the background here. We got two people from the Discord that want to come on. As you guys know, with Sicko Sound Off, what we do here is every other Friday, it's your chance to come on. You guys have something to say, get off your chest. You're fired up about Ben Cherington, the Pirates, whatever it is. Come on, talk your stuff, and let's hear it. So, and a chance to get on for sure is to be in our Discord. So we go ahead and select people. We have two from our Discord coming on tonight. And if you're watching right now, you also have an opportunity to come on. I had the link right there in the comments. You can go ahead and click on that. That gets you into the show. If you, again, you have something to say, might be able to bring you on and talk. So before we go any further, though, want to let you guys know that BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA and college basketball, NHL to UFC, head to BetOnline today. And don't forget to use promo code BELIEVE, that is BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. So, without further ado, we have the one, the only, the Discord nemesis, I feel, Crab. Crab, what's up, buddy?
What's up, DiNardo? How are you? Nice to see you.
I'm pretty good. So this is our first time. Again, you start out with Jim. You're on with Tyler.
Right.
This is our first time interacting.
It's a real menage a trois.
There it is. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna hope to get the rest of you in. I'm at Neil next. I want to do Doug next. I want to chew through the group. Let's go.
Oh boy. I'll say this. You and Doug, this might be a 3-hour show.
Well, what do you want to hear? What do we want to talk about today? What are we doing? Let's go.
I want to hear
fired up.
What you want to give me. What's on your mind this week? We had the winter meetings a week ago, right? The Pirates have made some moves. The Cubs are making a lot of moves. What's up?
Well, let me ask. I'm going to start with, and this is not a deflection. This is me setting the stage. Tell me how you feel about the winter meetings and what your beloved Pittsburgh Pirates have done, because I can tell you I have very strong thoughts on the subject, and I'd like to just have something to bounce off of. So I'm going to give you a shot to go. I want to hear your thoughts, and then I'm going to respond. Go.
So, my thoughts are very meh, to put it. I'll say that. Like I was expecting, if there was going to be a trade from the starting pitching depth, and even like Luis Ortiz, like you never said it time and time again. I was thinking more than Horwitz was going to be the return. Hey, they did something, like they did improve the offense. I was hoping and expecting it to be more. So like at this time, I'm just kind of still in wait and see mode. Yeah, there was a move. It's not terrible. I could, as I have done, I've talked myself into, it might not be so bad. I'm not sure how much I trust Horwitz in being, what he's projected to be, a 2-WAR player, 20% above average hitter. I'm not so sure about that. We'll wait and see, but like, it's still not enough. It's nowhere enough. And that's where our NS9 Live came in on Wednesday night. It's like, when you look at, and even comparing to the Cubs right now, man, they're leaps and bounds ahead of the Pirates.
So I agree with some of that, and I agree with most of it. But I will say I'm a lot less positive on Horwitz. Number one, every Yinzer on
shocking.
The internet is going to put an O in his name. Sorry for you now, my dude, but your name is going to get mangled from here to 93.7 The Fan. Number two, I just feel like the Pirates have, under the Cherington regime, have shown us absolutely nothing. We tend to do a lot of gaslighting. We want to speak things into existence here. And he has shown a zero ability to evaluate talent correctly. He's shown a weakness in the trade market. He's shown an inability to identify free agents worth a damn. In fact, all his failed Boston shit that he did in Boston that got his ass shit canned, he's doing here, but he's got a carte blanche from Bob, because Bob is just... That's another story for a different day. So the Horwitz thing is not shocking to me. It's perfectly in line with every kind of thing that they do. what I've been saying to folks in the Discord is that my thesis statement on the Pirates, and I said this to Jim back in October when I talked with him, is that they're going to run it back. This is a run it back year. They think, Cherington thinks that this team is it. This is the fucking bee's knees. That this team is Sawinski, Davis, Endy Rodriguez, the whole bit from top to bottom, broken backs and all, that this team is the bee's knees. And that somehow if we can squeeze 10 wins out of these guys, that suddenly we're going to be in the playoffs. Like there is no big trade coming. They're going to tinker around the edges. They're going to, do the Horowitz types of deals, which, to be fair, it's not a terrible deal in the sense that it's, quintessential small ball stuff. And I don't have a problem with it. And if he's a 2-war player, God bless him. But that's not enough. We need 12 freaking wins, DiNardo. Right? Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Where are they coming from? What combination of free agents and trades are out there that is somehow going to manifest into existence?
That's kind of the problem. I mean, honestly, like Crab, I get what you're saying. And here's another thing too. Like this is why fans are allowed to fan however they wish. They can, the Pirates,
I'm fanning everywhere
like
right now.
You mentioned, have not done anything yet to prove anything to fans to believe in them. So when this is the year that they have to do something, and again, like I feel like Cherington's job's on the line. He
said we're accountable together. What the hell does that mean? It means I'm getting my ass fired, bro. That's what it's GM speak. Yeah, right.
Basically. So again, like he has to do something, and that's why they joke like I've been in wait and see mode for Cherington for it'll be like 2030 whatever. Like this, I feel as again like something has to happen because if your job's on the line, some type of desperation is going to kick in. So like when it's just Horowitz right now, yes, that's kind of underwhelming, but there has to be more. I mean, there just simply has to be more. There's no way he can go into the season just doing a little bit more.
No,
because he's going to get fired. And I'm not talking like remember when Neil Huntington like made the Chris Archer move? Like that was almost like a sign of desperation as well. And unfortunately it failed and it cost him his job. But like he zigged when he's been zagging all this time and did like the big move. When it comes to Cherington right now, you have maybe 10, $15 million to play with at this point in time. Probably more like 15, I guess. And again, like the moves that you have to make offensively is a lot. So you talk about trade or you talk about free agency. Max Kepler went last night for $10 million. Max Kepler. Go ahead.
I mean, the dude. Okay, is he technically better than a right fielder we have, Joshua Palacios?
Yes, absolutely.
Technically, yes. Fine. Great. Fine. Is somehow he a panacea to somehow manifest wins out of midair and somehow turn Jack Sawinski into a 30 home run powerhouse and us, somehow compete with a non-broken Brian Hay? Like these, there's no combination of free agents in the world right now that's going to undo the fact that Ben Cherington ruined a rebuild in 2020. It's not going to happen. And every Pirate fan trying to tell us, gaslight this into existence isn't going to happen. The faster we realize that this rebuild, it's...
I feel you.
I'm mad. I'm mad as hell. I'm not going to take it anymore.
Right now, actually, through the camera.
Yeah, I'm mad. I'm going to punch my... Yeah, man, I'm mad.
But with what you're saying, and again, like this is where I see the issue at and agree with you. If you have about $15 million to spend, if you saw Max Kepler go for $10 million, and what you said is true, like he is definitely an improvement of last year. If he's a 1-WAR player, that improves right field by 3 wins because it was just so terrible last year. However, to your point, is a 1-win player the needle mover? No. And if the 1-win to 2-win player is going to cost you $10 million, it leaves you $5 million remaining. So what else are you going to do? So that's why it's like it has to come through the trade market.
Yeah, but it takes 2 to 10. I'm agreeing with you. I'm not fighting with you. I'm fighting with the avatar that is you because the other guy's not here for me to fight with. I am saying that generally speaking, it takes 2 to tango.
Right.
So I imagine a situation where every single general manager in Major League Baseball watched that press conference that Ben Cherington put on, which was an absolute mind-boggling disgrace. It was so
Which
embarrassing. One? And when he calls them, he's like, hey, how's it going, Chris Getz? I'm looking into random White Sox here. And Chris Getz is like, oh, cool, you're getting fired this year. I'm going to take your 2 top 100 prospects. You know, like he boxed himself into a place in which he has no way out because everybody in the industry realizes that he is not a cutting edge general manager. His ego is tied up in this group of players, which are largely failed. And so it makes it very hard to trade your assets for other assets because, you know, every other guy is looking for leverage on you. And when the entire industry knows the game is up, that market is going to close off in some way. It's just human fucking nature, in my opinion. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm wrong. You educate me. But maybe I'm wrong. But to me, like, I don't foresee this big 2010 Boston Red Sox beer and chicken trade that he executed, or whatever that was, 2012, where he remakes, you know, the entire Pirates roster and somehow saves this rebuild. I just don't see it happening. What I see happening for this team is that they're going to grind Paul Skeens down to nothing. They're going to grind his prime years down like they grounded all these other guys down to nothing. They wasted Giles. They wasted Oliver Perez. They wasted Jason Kendall. They wasted lots of really good players because they had no vision. They had no vision. They had no idea what they were doing, whether it was Littlefield. Neil Huntington was the only guy that knew what the fuck he was doing, pardon my language, to some degree. He lucked into most of it, but at least he had a vision. Cherington has no idea. He's going to grind Paul Skeens down to nothing. They're going to end up trading him the way they trade Garrett Cole. And we're going to be left holding the bag because this dude has no idea what he's doing. I'm so over Ben Cherington. I just can't with this guy. He failed in Boston with a monster payroll. They Dave Dombrowski'd him out of there.
Right.
Yeah, right.
And he goes from Boston to Toronto, which...
He taught at Columbia for a semester before that. I did my research. He went into academia because he's, you know, I'm not making fun of academics. They're my friends, but yes.
He did, though.
He did.
Also very, very similar to Neil Huntington in his career, academia, all that, everything path. Like just, yeah.
You know where Neil is working at now? You know who Neil works for now?
Yeah, the guy who just got Luis Ortiz.
And where were they last October?
In the playoffs.
Oh, were they now? That's my boy, Neil Huntington.
Yeah. With all the same constraints that the Pittsburgh market provides them as well.
I agree. So this is my number one thing in that chat room. I spend hours a day debating people on this very notion. I understand the frustration we have with the economic structure of baseball. I understand the frustration we have with Bob Nutting. I am in no way, shape, or form underplaying those issues. But if other teams can do it, with the same goddamn fucking constraints that we have, then we can do it too.
Right.
When they have Saudi equity in Cleveland and in fucking Oakland or Sacramento and in Tampa, and we don't, like, they don't have billionaires in those places. They have cheap versions of Bob Nutting over there as well. We can't see the forest from the trees. We just assume we are the only ones with Bob Nuttings in the world. They all have terrible owners. They are cheap. The Guardians just signed their second baseman to a monster contract and then traded him without a blink of an eye. I want a cutting edge general manager to do hardcore small market bullshit here before we start fighting the Bob Nutting fight. We have never had, I mean, Huntington for, you know, a little bit on the edges, at least in my mind. He definitely did some Moneyball stuff, but, you know, I feel like he did lose his way at some point. But, like, I want to go back to get a young guy in here and give him carte blanche to break everything in front of him and see what happens, because it can't get worse than this. We are in the middle of a purgatory. We are marching towards 20 years of loserdom, which I saw 20 years of loserdom in my life. We're 6 years into the 20-year cycle, and we're arguing about Max Kepler.
First off, I want to make something. We ain't arguing about Max Kepler. Let's keep that. We ain't arguing about Max Kepler.
Maybe not you.
Okay.
But that's my thesis statement. I'm very mad. DiNardo, I'm very mad.
And you have every right to be.
That's and the other day when
every
Starbucks and Rosati was talking about the guys who are like just hate the team. That's me. He was talking about me. I hate this team. I hate it. I hate these guys.
I didn't see that coming.
He was just, I mean, he maybe didn't know. You see this vein in my head? It's really big right now. He probably wasn't, he wasn't talking about me directly. There's others like me. There's like dozens of us. But
you were the avatar of who he was talking about.
I heard that and I was like, oh my God, I hate the team. I hate this team. I hate these players. I hate this group. Sorry, DiNardo.
No, you're good. So crap, I'll tell you what. We're gonna do something different. Now, also, you guys in the chat right now, before I go any further, first off, Penn, Sean, congrats, or thank you. Thank you. You each gave 10 gifts, memberships. So you guys are the real MVPs. Appreciate you guys as always. But crap, before you leave, any last thing you want to say? Last word. Yeah, we might bring you back on.
My last words are this. I think that the Pirates this year, here's what's going to happen. Cherington is cooked. He knows it. And strangely enough, I'm not actually mad at Cherington for doing what he's doing right now, because if you were in his position with a broken rebuild, like I wouldn't want him to make big trades right now either. I want him to nibble around the edges because it's actually the most sensible thing to do before you get fired. And so if I'm about to get fired in a weird way, like I don't want him trading Jones for some mythical bat, Jones and someone for a mythical bat. Like I don't want that. Run it back, take a 76 win team and see what you get with Horwitz on top, which is like a 78 win team. It's a 78 win team. They think so. The new money ball is getting your own guys to perform better. That's the next thing that's going to be popularized. Getting more internal improvement out of your own players. So I think when he says like we want more internal improvement out of our players, that is what they mean to do. They're not doing what we think they're going to do. He said what they're going to do. He said, this is our last year. We're accountable together. We're probably going to get shit canned. So I hope Jack hits 30. I hope Davis figures out how to hit a slider. Like we're going to do our best to get these guys on track because this is my legacy. These fucking guys are my legacy. This is all I have. I'm not getting another major league job after this. He told us what he's doing, folks.
Yeah.
Believe him when he says it. So this big trade that's going to change the whole team, to me, isn't going to happen. I think Cherington is pretty transparent. He's actually quite sad in a way. At least, he's like sad. He went on to the winter meetings and said to the media, like, I don't think people in Pittsburgh like me very much. I think he's quite aware of where he stands right now and what's going on behind the scenes. I'd love to be a fly on the wall down there on Federal Street, by the way. But So look, my point is this before I go, is that I think this team is going to be a run it back team. We're going to grind down a year of Skeens, unfortunately. And the bad part about this season is that one of these guys is going to get hurt. Jones was already hurt for a large portion of last year.
You're done. I'm kicking you off, crap.
Why? Why? Because I speak the truth.
I'm not allowing you to put that in existence. That's not going on the air.
It's true.
He's done. I won't allow it. Crab gone too far here. But no, I want to thank Crab. He might be back on. I'm putting out there. So I do have the link here. It's pinned in the YouTube comments. If there's something, maybe Crab pissed you off and you want something to say. I don't know. But if you have something to say in your chat, you want to come on, the link's there. You can come on the show. I'll give you guys a few minutes in the comments here. I'm going to bring John on next. But like I said, Crab might be back on later. So hang tight. But for our next guest, yes, John, welcome to the show. What's going on?
Thank you for having me. I'm just here to represent the other side of the discussion. Crab is not to put words in his mouth, but he's pretty pessimistic about all this stuff. And I try to be the voice of reason, the optimistic voice, just trying to be glass half full,
There you go. All right.
So first off, I completely agree with what he was saying about the I word, because I don't want to get kicked off. I'm not going to say it. But anytime that I'm trying to convey or I'm trying to rationalize how this team might go from a 76 win team to an 86 win team, anyone says injuries are going to happen, it probably will. If we don't, we'll make a run. But the amount of depth that this pitching staff has right now, we have 9 guys, even with Ortiz removed, that I feel pretty comfortable with throwing MLB innings. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I couldn't have said last year. Like, we had guys like Domingo Germán and Martin Perez and Jake Woodford pitching and starting games for us. And I don't foresee that being a thing this year, because if somebody in the starting 5 does get hurt, which it probably will, you have guys in AAA ready to come up that are high pedigree, very good stuff. You're not getting any soft tossing guys. You're not getting any innings eaters, which I feel like is a derogatory term. There's quality innings to be had. 9 guys. So that's one thing I think we're going to see better depth on the starting staff. And I think also a lot of people forget just how bad the offense was at the beginning of the year. Like, it was really, really, really bad. Like, you were seeing Jack Swinsky in the starting lineup, Taylor in the starting lineup. Tellez, his first half of the year was horrible. Grandal's first half of the year was horrible. Like, it was very bad. So, and to a certain extent, there's nowhere to go but up. We're getting more innings of, I guess, our more premium guys. Skeens is probably going to throw 20, 30 more innings. Jones is probably going to throw 30 more innings. Bubba Chandler is like he's in list for preseason rookie of the year contender. So adding him to the mix. So I see a lot of positives, and I don't see a failed rebuild, not quite yet, because I do want one more year to evaluate. I think it's only fair. Neil Huntington, he got wins. He produced a playoff team in his 6th year. So if I was in charge and I was Bob Nutting, what a world, I would probably fire Cherington too. But I'm not oblivious to the fact that it did take Huntington 6 years. If we have back-to-back playoff teams, I'd be happy with that too, and I'd give him a few more years as well.
Well, let me ask you this, because I mean, it is fair to say, like, Huntington had all that time. Why shouldn't Cherington have that time too? Do you think it's fair to say that Cherington had more in the tank when he took over than Huntington?
No, I don't. I think if you're looking at pieces from that back then, and this is just going off memory and based, I could be off, but Huntington had Jason Beta trade. He blew that, but he had him. Jack Wilson. He had several starting pitchers to trade from. He always traded bullpen guys, but looking at the guys that Cherington's traded, Josh Bell, it was poor timing. He had a really good year 2 years prior. Horrible year the year they traded him. So that was unfortunate. The best asset that they probably moved in terms of like coming off a good season was probably Adam Frazier. Like, because he was like contending for the batting title whenever he got moved.
Yeah.
They didn't have many pieces, and some of the trades were okay. I like the Musgrove trade. They made a bunch of fringe trades. The Marte trade is the one that hurts.
It does.
Yeah, that's the one that probably yeah.
So again, like, I know, like, they want to compare, and you can compare like the length of time and such, and that's fair. But I feel like there's reasons why this one couldn't be as long, and the reason it couldn't be as long is, well, again, like, you kept Brian Reynolds, like, he wasn't traded, so you kept him. You're not keeping him so he can be 32 years old for your time to start, contending. You also got Paul Skeens up here now, and he lost that extra year of control you could have had. So there's a very finite amount of time that Paul Skeens is here. Why? Like, you cannot squander those years, right? You can't have 2 of them where you're not really playoff ready, and then you probably only have 2, maybe 3 years of him. That to me, you just can't do that. You can't do that.
Yeah, I think right now, 2025 is whenever things start to come together. It would have been nice.
Is coming together enough, or like playoffs in your mind?
I think this team, as currently constructed, is somewhere between like an 80 to 86 win team. If everything goes well, they're going to be approaching the playoffs.
Okay.
I do think it helps that this division is pretty weak. I see it's the Cubs, a big gap, and then any one of the Pirates, Brewers, and Reds could be next, and then the Cardinals, assuming Arenado eventually accepts a trade somewhere.
Sure.
But I think it's up for grabs. I think that they can do well inside the division. And I feel like there's a big disconnect with this. I sympathize with Cherington for the financial restrictions placed on him by Nutting. So I feel like for a lot of GMs, it would be much simpler to say, let's just go sign Santander. Let's just go sign Hernandez. Let's go sign X, Y, or Z player to fill the biggest hole, which is corner outfield right now. Cherington has to get creative with that. He has to look for other alternate paths. He has to do things like acquire a Spencer Horwitz, right? Like he can't go out and give actual legit money to a free agent, which if the rebuild went as well as we would have liked it to, there wouldn't be that gap there. There wouldn't be that hole there. But it did, and we need to fill it, and it sucks that he can't just sign a free agent. That $10 million for Max Kepler, who we're going to keep talking about apparently forever. $10 million for a 1-year commitment is too much, and that sucks.
Yeah. No, I understand. I get that. So let me ask you this too, because you talked about like the trade depth, and that is something I think that like he and the Pirates absolutely have. There's one thing going this season that you can stamp and be proud of. It's that this regime has created a nice starting pitching factory, as we like to call it, to some degree. You know, like right now, what's up in the majors, what's coming up. You know, there's certainly a lot of pitching depth. So with the constraints, because I agree with you, Bob Nutting is a big piece of this puzzle that limits the Pirates and their success. $100 million we're trying to reach right now. The Pirates reached $100 million a decade ago, and $100 million is not the same as it was a decade ago. So, like, you should envision a reality that if it's go time, you should be able to hit $100 million easy, if not push it, right? So the fact that, like I'm talking about, if they have like $15 million really to play with, there's really not much you can get if Kepler's going for 10 to really move the needle. Are you a fan of the thought process of trading a Jones or a Keller? And a Keller, of course, because that gives you more payroll flexibility.
So two things. One, to directly answer that question, I'm not comfortable trading Jones or Keller because if you trade one of them, you can't rely on a Harrington, Ashcraft, Burroughs player to give you the amount of innings that they otherwise would. So you would have to then go out and sign a starter that's major league ready, that's proven it, that's thrown innings. And we've seen the price of that. Like, it's not feasible for them to go that route, in my opinion. I think ideally what you do is you trade from the prospect depth, guys that haven't been proven in the majors. The issue right now is, though, with the expanded wild card and the A's randomly spending money, everybody thinks they're a contender right now, with the exception of the White Sox, the Rockies, and that's pretty much it, really.
Marlins.
Would be Marlins, maybe.
For sure.
I mean, they have a lot of pitching coming back from injury, but they did trade Berger. So I guess there is signs that they're making that they're willing to rebuild. But there's just not a lot of teams right now that are willing to do that, that are willing to trade a piece for prospects because they think with the expanded playoffs, with extra wild cards, that they might get in. So in my opinion, what's going to happen is, shocker, they're going to sign a Band-Aid. They're going to sign a Taylor type, Grandal type for somewhere around a 1-year, $5 million deal. Ideally, it'd be Winker. That's who I would like. But I think they wait to do the big trade until the trade deadline, where there are more teams that are in a rebuild mode. So then trade deadline gets here. They trade a Cherington. They trade an Ashcraft for somebody that's better. And also, if they do leave money on the table, money on the books, if they open with a payroll of 90 million and they have an approved payroll of 100 million, they can add 10 million at the deadline. And then you're not running into an issue where you have to trade Perez to take on full IKF salary, right? So that's my theory. Get a Band-Aid, make the big move at the deadline, try to get to the deadline, evaluate where the biggest weakness is. Maybe Winker kills it and you don't have to upgrade there. Maybe shortstop's where you upgrade. But I think you wait.
Which I would like.
Yeah, you wait, you get to the deadline, you say, we have $10 million to throw around. Where are we going to go with it? And because right now it's just not conducive to making a trade because there's so many people that only are focused on improving their team for 2025.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. So before we move on from here, which also you probably going to be on here shortly as well for everyone. Any last words before you go on your little segment?
I'm just excited to see the improvement from several players. I'm expecting Gonzalez to have a good year. I'm expecting Bart to have maybe not quite to the extent he had this past year, but a more healthy season.
Okay.
I feel like the injury bug bit us a little bit hard last year. At one point, towards the end of the season, I looked and we had the most IL stints of any team in the majors. So that is something that you would expect to swing the other way. So I see my closing statement, I guess, would be there are plenty of signs that point to legit reasons for optimism, not just blind optimism.
All right. Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. And again, for everyone, stick around because John and Crab might be back at some point here soon. So with that said, thanks, John. We'll talk to you here shortly, probably. And hey, like I mentioned, if you guys have something to say, go ahead, click on the link. Your opportunity to come on the show. Someone apparently did. OG clicked that link, and we're talking about festive. I mean, I changed my lights for Sean. He's calling me out in the chat, so I gave you a Christmas theme, but I didn't go all like OG over here. He's got the sweater. He's got the Santa hat. What's up, OG? You got something to say?
Man, I thought that this was an ugly sweater party, and I'm the only one all dressed up. I'm disappointed.
I didn't get the memo.
I'm the only one that got the memo.
That's it.
You know, I'm just here to wish everyone Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate. And even if Santa Cherington leaves coal in our stockings next week when the holiday comes and goes and he doesn't do one of his trademark holiday transactions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he traded Josh Bell away. What was that, Christmas or Christmas Eve?
It was Christmas Eve, and Tyler and I jumped on for the emergency podcast.
Yeah. So even if Santa Cherington leaves coal in our stocking and doesn't give us an Anthony Santander signing for Christmas, I just want to wish everybody a Merry and spread some holiday cheer so that, you know, you don't have too much Grinch coming up with Crab. Crab's going to get on here and Grinch out. Got to let him say his piece. But
right,
we also need to be kind to each other. It's the holidays.
I love it. Great message, OG. I appreciate it. And everyone here, we all can use that. I know we tend to, at times get a little overboard and upset about things. And so, yeah, I hope you enjoy your holidays well. Merry Christmas. And it seems like you're celebrating a week early already.
Oh yeah, I got my eggnog. I'm almost set.
Oh man, I'm jealous. I did not get that memo. I was not invited to this party.
It's cold up here. You don't want to be up here. It's cold up here.
You know what?
Stay in Florida.
Yeah. Well, thanks, OG. I appreciate the words. Anything else you want to say before you hop off?
No, I'm good this time. I'll catch you guys another time when I've got more of an opinion to offer. But let Crab say his piece. He's hot and bothered.
All right. I definitely will. So we'll see you again, maybe after the new year.
That's right.
All right.
Take
Thanks
care.
a lot, OG. Ogminlo spreading the Christmas joy. All right. So I promised everyone, I said, stay tuned because Crab might be back on. Well, man of my words, Crab, John, the same time. Listen,
Oh,
you
wow.
guys can't see. Crab's been seething in the background. The private chat's been going bonkers. I haven't read the messages because I want to save it for the show.
I'm not a calm person, no.
No, not at all. So
okay,
before
John,
the show started,
go.
These two said they want to have a little bit of a debate here because, as you can tell on the show, very contrasting viewpoints. So I'm going to give the floor to them too and maybe moderate this little shindig here. Crap, I'll let you start first.
John, Mitch Keller is a $15 million starter right now in a market in which Alex Cobb, for those in the back, is getting paid $15 million, and he is garbage. There is so much surplus value in there that Billy Beane himself would get in his DeLorean and go back to the future from 2002 to make that trade himself because it's the smart Moneyball thing to do. And if anything, God, all we have is the smart Moneyball thing to do. We don't have money. We don't have a smart GM. We don't have a smart ownership group with equity. We just have cutting edge stuff. We should be trading these guys at the height of their powers to replenish this rebuild that has clearly failed. We need to retool the rebuild, my dude. What part of this are we not getting? Go.
So you said you'd make the trade. I didn't hear who you were getting in exchange for Keller.
That's not up to me to decide.
If the piece is worth it, like if we're talking like a Keller for Will Abreu trade, I do that. I do that trade. It sucks to have to trade in a way that you make the strength of the team no longer the strength of the team.
But according to you, you have 9 MLB pitchers ready to go. According to you, the 2015 Mets never existed.
As you may know,
nobody gets hurt.
As you may know, and first off, I acknowledge that injuries happen. Minor league pitchers. I did up front.
He did say it.
Minor league
pitchers
don't have the same inning buildup that major league pitchers do. If you sub out a Keller for a Harrington, you're losing 80 innings, right? That's why Skeens was on an innings count last year that they didn't want him throwing much over 150. That's why if Jones was fully healthy last year, they would have shut him down prior to the end of the season, right? So there's a certain amount of innings that you need. And also injuries, like you said, do happen. So you're cutting back on the amount of innings. And also you're going from 9 guys to 8 guys, right? So then there's more likelihood of end up getting a couple injuries and having to have a Domingo Germán, a Jake Woodford start for you. And I don't think anybody wants that.
No.
Every major league team has terrible guys come up and make spot starts. It's a fact of Major League Baseball. And to act as if we're no different because, we put ourselves in this weird sandbox is ludicrous. That to me is a non-starter. Guys like that start all over the major leagues. They're called innings eaters. They exist. So just focused on the idea that Yinzers in general in a box hate the idea of trading these guys away because they secretly are trying to apply this metric to Pirates baseball and to baseball in general that doesn't exist. Reality is such that we have to be able to think on our feet as a franchise. And part of the problem is that from Bob on down, whether it's Neil or Ben or the next guy they bring in here, that they want to celebrate these dudes and paint them on a mural on Wood Street as opposed to just trading them at their highest value. I don't care about Mitch Keller. I don't care about the name on the back. I care about the name on the front. I'm not yelling at you, my friend.
I totally
want to retool this thing because Leover Peguero isn't going to get it done. The Jack Sawinski is probably a pumpkin. Davis, God knows what is wrong with him. Get me more interesting things. Be the Tampa Bay Rays. Be the Cleveland Guardians. Don't be afraid to trade a guy because you signed him to a deal last year. Who cares? Who cares? Trade them. Trade them at their highest value. Go.
I think the disconnect here, it's okay. I think the disconnect here is that you want to trade everyone and fully restart this rebuild. I think we are potentially one right fielder away from competing for a playoff spot.
Oh, is it Max Kepler?
So who would that right fielder be?
Please tell me. I'm dying to know. Is it?
I mean, if I was in charge of the team, I would probably go get Santander. I would have signed Juan Soto. Like, once again, we have these restrictions that
Crab's got under the
You just hit me with a Juan Soto comment and with a straight face. I can't even be in. We're not even in the same room, my dude.
If you're telling me who's the solution to right field a month ago would have been Juan Soto in an ideal world. We're not living in that world. Hey, if this was any other sport, we would have an equal chance of getting a free agent. And we don't have enough time to have that discussion.
The NFL brain. Sin. It's not the NFL, my dude.
I'm aware of this.
Okay. I'm just making sure.
But yes, I would probably trade Keller for Abreu straight up today if I could.
So you're not really opposed to it. It just has to be like the right move.
The right move, yeah. And I mean, the Pirates have their scouting department, and I know one of the criticisms about them is that they aren't great at evaluating offense. They're not great at
Joe Delicari is still employed there. He's objectively bad.
I'm hoping that they change that a little bit. I'm hoping that, for instance, the Horwitz trade. I'm hoping that Matt Haig had an impact on that trade. That IKF had
Haig, the failed Pittsburgh Pirate that couldn't hit his way out of a paper bag. Oh my
God. To be fair, Crab, a lot of good coaches were never good players.
Barry Bonds is the best. He lasted 1 year.
And I'll take it. I'll wear that. My larger point is that without the histrionics, we as a fan base are counting on Matt Haig to save this thing. To me, I just think maybe we need to hold hands and hug because that's not
I'm not counting on the spirit of OG. Let's have an online. Let's hold hands, guys.
I
don't know how to do that.
Let's get our holiday prayers.
I mean, honestly, though, Matt Haig. Okay, maybe he's a great hitting coach. Okay, let's just take everything. Oh, John.
I don't think hitting coaches have so much of an impact that he's going to magically change things. I'm not that naive. I'm not. However, what I do think is, would you concede that if Ke'Bryan Hayes is healthy, he's a 4-WAR player?
I mean, I love Ke'Bryan Hayes, but he's not going to be healthy because backs.
Hey,
go ask
every
Chris
report
Bryant.
So far.
Go ask Will Clark from a million years ago.
But every report so far says that he's participating in all baseball activities and is healthy.
I lived through. Hey, go ahead. I'm gonna have a retort.
When was the last time you were a world-class athlete? Huh?
Clearly, never.
Okay.
You don't have to be on video camera to see that, my dude.
No?
Come on.
IKF was worth 3.6 BWAR last year.
If I had a nickel for every he's in the best shape of his life article that ever got written by a Post-Gazette beat writer, that's what you're falling for. You're falling for, propaganda.
I've seen him put up 4 more seasons.
His back is cooked.
I don't know that. I'm not ready to definitively say that.
Fine. Even if Hayes is a 4-win player, what's 76 plus floor plus 2?
82.
Okay. Do you think that's enough to get you in the tournament, metaphorically speaking?
How about a full season of Bart as opposed to 80 games? He only played half a full season last
But we have 3 catchers that need time. So if you're Ben Cherington, you're giving him a full season, or the other two guys going to be in the mix there too?
I'm putting Davis in AAA and saying you're not a catcher anymore, personally.
Okay. All right. I'm not going to fight
saying DH. He gets injured too much. His bat is his carrying tool. He's never going to be a good enough defender to have value just purely based on his defense. He needs to hit. So I would say you're done catching, just DH. But that's a discussion for another.
Okay, fine. I'm not fighting with you. I'm going to ask you in good faith. So 76 plus, well, I guess Hayes was already in the 76 from last year. So I don't,
It was 0.8. So it's 3.2 added.
Okay. So you do the math here for me because I'm fucking drunk. And then you do.
Reminder to watch the F word.
Okay, my bad. Rosati will edit it out like he did the last time. Plus, I've been pretty good thus far. So you do Horwitz plus Hayes plus some combination of Endy and Bart
So,
and DeLay
like I was saying,
Davis.
I don't love IKF, okay, but I will say he was a 2-WAR F-WAR player, a 3.6 WAR B-WAR guy. We only got half a WAR out of him, so there's an improvement there. And one could also say that he's more likely to succeed with Haig on track because that's who he had in the Toronto organization.
And tell me how many to use the logic of the Discord, which I get all the time. How many World Series did the Blue Jays win, my friend? Because that's all I ever hear when I mention the Guardians or the Rays as a cutting edge team. I get shoved down my throat about how they never won anything. So to use your logic, tell me how many World Series have they won with Matt Haig as the hitting coach?
0.
Okay, thank you. So again, it comes down to this. I love you, my friend. I get it. I want what you're selling. The copium that you're selling.
How about this? Okay. So far we said +4 for Hayes, +2 for Horwitz. We also need to take into account that O'Neal Cruz at shortstop was
a mess,
drastically and negatively impacting his defensive value. And he's looked pretty dang solid in center field so far.
What's the sample size there?
It's very small.
And what do they say about small sample sizes? Statistician.u
I've seen him break for the ball. I've seen him jump. His jumps are good. He's reckless out there. He's diving. He's sliding. I mean, we know that his arm will play in the outfield, right? There's no doubt about that. So I'm pretty comfortable saying that we're going to get an extra 2 wins above replacement from Cruz just by the shortstop to center field switch. Doesn't even need to improve with the bat.
Okay, I mean that's still a big jump though.
I'm sorry.
I want to do something here for John also, but just to add on that point, I mean that makes him like a 5-WAR player. And I mean I could see it, but
he had a 2020 season last year.
But what I want to say too is to help your argument here, because if Crab's trying to make you add WAR, one thing to keep in mind: right field had a -2.2 WAR last year. And yes, I wasn't checking my emails. I wasn't looking to iron. I was looking up FanGraphs, trying to look at some numbers here. So also just keep in mind, the team in total had a -2.2. So just having a net 0 WAR, having a terrible person in right field at 0 WAR also improves the team by 2. If you get a Kepler at a 1 WAR or something like that, that's a 3 WAR improvement. So again, I'm just, if this is the argument, I do want to throw that out there too.
What ideally in a perfect world happens is they sign Winker. They get to the trade deadline in pretty good position. The A's suck. They trade for Rooker.
Ooh.
That's not happening because the A's are trying to impress their Sacramento overlords. That's not happening. They're trying to get a stadium built, my dude.
I'm just saying, something like that is
the real world. I would look there too, but
the A's can be bad. They've been bad. That's the real world.
But we're bad too. I mean, that's the thing I'm saying. Pirates fans act as if we could just work in a vacuum. No other team. It takes 2 to tango. These teams look at us the way we look at them. They think that we are just as incompetent as we think they are. So why would other teams want to give us their good stuff? We don't want to give away this reminds me of the 2012 arguments that we used to have in message boards back in the day, when everybody was like, just get Goldschmidt to pair with McCutcheon because it's like a great thing. That's not going to happen, and it didn't, because newsflash, those teams don't want to give up stuff. So,
I think that the odds of winning in the near
future
is much better than the A's winning in the near future. They can go out and sign shiny things and throw money at who was Severino. They gave him crazy money, but I think they're going to continue to be bad, and eventually you get to a point where the resource is depreciating and you need to move it. Like they're eventually going to trade Rooker. It's going to happen.
I totally agree with. I don't disagree with that. The idea that we will just waltz in and give them a bunch of garbage for Brent Rooker, which is who in it.
We have the 7th ranked farm system in the MLB. By the most recent thing that came out. Post-winter meetings. I posted the article in Discord today. Yes.
And didn't you just tell me before that we had 9 starting pitchers? What do you think we're going to trade to get these metaphorical Brent Rookers? Hold thing of Brent Rookers you plan on getting. These unicorn pitchers that we just have, we're just laying around. We just got pitchers laying around. We're just going to trade them all for a Brent Rooker and a Taylor Ward. We're just going to get, and then we're still going to have 9 more because apparently his pipeline is amazing.
It is pretty amazing.
Oh,
do we have
so
time?
We got 18 pitchers laying around. Give me a break. Give me a break, my dude. You could get away with maybe we made our one trade out of our depth, and that was the Luis Ortiz trade.
I don't believe in either of those 2 pitching prospects at all. The Mike Kennedy, he tops out at 89. I've watched him pitch. He doesn't have it. He has a really good slider, but I feel like eventually he's going to reach a point where that's not going to work on guys. He's going to fall off pretty fast. Hartle, he had a 5.7 ERA in college his last year. If you can't get guys out in college, I don't see you getting the guys out in the pros. I understand that he's got some decent pitch metrics. I'm not concerned about losing either one of those. Neither of those 2 are somebody I would consider one of our top 10 pitching prospects.
But here's the thing. If you are Ben Cherington and you went on television and told the entire industry that you're cooked, you're in the jackpot, to quote Terry Collins or whatever, and then you go to Perry over in
the jackpot.
Your ass in the jackpot, brother. So you go over there to
is that another Mets reference made tonight?
I mean, look, I grew up watching WOR quite a bit in Pittsburgh. It used to be over the air here. But if you go over to those teams and you ask them for their stuff, they're going to ask you for Jared Jones, Ashcraft, Chandler, some version of those guys. And then all of a sudden your metaphorical 9 starting pitchers are not 9 starting pitchers anymore. So we don't have the depth. So I get it. I don't, I hear it as a fan, right? And I agree with, I don't disagree. Like if we're pounding beers right now in a bar, like I get it, dude. I don't disagree. You're not wrong. But like in the real world, like there's a cost to every acquisition that we want to make. We just throw these names out there. And I just don't.
We have a pretty deep system. We can even trade. This is going to sound crazy. We can even trade hitting prospects. If there's somebody good enough, we can trade Tamar Johnson. If we want, we can trade. Shoot, I can't remember what the
just
Connor
trade
Griffin.
Connor Griffin. Sure, just trade them all. Yeah. This is what I'm saying.
We're trying to fill one spot. It's not going to take our entire farm system to fill one spot.
Okay.
All right. So
Fine.
let's do this.
Fine.
Let's get our closing arguments in. So I will start with John. John, why are the Pirates, the 2025 Pirates? Speak to everyone listening right now. Why should we be optimistic about the 2025 Pirates? Why are they going to be a good team?
Because several players underperformed last year. We had the unluckiest injury results in the majors last year. We're getting more innings from the premium guys of Keller and Jones and Skeens and Chandler debuting, more premium innings, more high-quality innings, and the lineup's deeper. You're not going to be seeing Connor Joe carrying the lineup, batting third, Hayes batting third. It should be pretty deep top to bottom. You have a legit middle of the lineup where you have 4 guys who hit 20-plus home runs last year. You have guys ahead of them that get on base, such as Horwitz. He gets on base at a 360 clip. You have guys. That you can point to, and they only really have one weakness as of right now. That's one of the corner outfielders. And I fully expect them to do something to upgrade there. It might not be free agency. It probably won't be free agency. It'll probably be a trade. But once that happens, we can fully evaluate this thing. And I think the lineup will look pretty good. If throughout the season we're living in a world where Brian Hayes is batting 8th and IKF is batting 9th and they're playing good defense, I think this team could compete with anybody.
All right. Is that it?
Yeah, I guess. I didn't put any thought into it. Yeah. Plan next time. But
I mean, that was very good.
Crab.
You did.
Crab. Closing arguments. Why do you think the 2025 Pirates are going to fail and Ben Cherington's losing his job?
I wish I had John's optimism, and I hope he's right. I want to be very clear. I hope he's right. I do root for the team, even though I hate the team. It's a very complex thing, I feel. I think that these guys are what they are. I don't think that there is this mythical, somehow late-stage career change that every player is a secret Jose Bautista, and somehow there's 50 home runs to unlock. I think most of these guys, I lived through 20 years of bad Pirates baseball where we had hopes and dreams pinned to all of them, and most of them turned out to be nothing. So enjoy Skeens while you have them. Enjoy whatever's left of Andrew McCutchen. God bless him while you have them. Enjoy what we have while we have, because I just think that you don't turn off the loser switch by walking into the clubhouse on day one of spring training and say, well, guys, we lost last year, we lost the year before, and we lost the year before that. God knows we lost for the last 6 years or so. Just turn into winners now. Just start eating the data up. The other guy told you that you should swing your swing path 18%.
I mean, they did it in 2013, but.
Oh, come on. You got to be out of your mind with that take. 2013.
What? They went from losers to winners.
Oh, my good Lord. Okay. Who did they sign? Oh, Lord. They had a core that was good. We all saw McCutchen was good in 2013. We all knew Neil Walker was good in 2013. We all knew that Starling Marte was on the horizon in 2013. We all knew Pedro Alvarez could hit him in the Allegheny in 2013. And what they did was they played old school money ball because they had a GM that was creative. He went out and prioritized pitch framing and the shift, all of which are gone. All of which are gone, my dude. They don't even have the shift anymore.
Pretty sure framing.
Barely. Fine. And the best pitch framers
are still getting jobs. It's the thing.
Fine. But like those undervalued players that Neil Huntington got at the end of the Moneyball decade from 2097 to, you know, whatever you want to define it as, he managed to scrape a few guys off the scrap heap and sign them. And I grant him all the credit in the world. We all laughed at Francisco Liriano here. I remember it clear as day. We all thought it was a joke, but he turned out to be something good because he had a wipeout slider. And he put the ball where guys would hit it to Clint Barmas, who was a freaking vacuum cleaner. The days of finding those guys, the days of finding those guys are over because Andrew Friedman runs the Dodgers. Okay, Rays guys are everywhere. The Rays guys are everywhere. They run every facet of Major League Baseball, and they know what you know. So there's no stone left unturned anymore. So to say that Cherington somehow gets this mythical 6th year, we need to give him a 6th year arbitrarily because we gave Huntington 6 years. It's ludicrous to me because the dude's a failure. He had $1 billion to spend in Boston and he couldn't make it work. In fact,
pretty sure he won a World Series, actually.
Great, John. Let's talk about his World Series. Because his
World Series. We don't have time left.
We do. It was Mike Napoli, Shane Victorino, and a bunch of retread Moneyball guys because he was running the Billy Bean playbook, which is dead. It's dead. We need to do something different. I'm sorry.
So, one other thing I wanted to point out before we go is I 100%, somebody said it in the chat, I 100% think David Bednar is fully bouncing back. Just saying. It's the chat's been buzzing about, but what about the bullpen? What about the bullpen? All the data shows that Bednar's stuff has, if anything, got better last year. So I just wanted to say bullpen, there should be a big improvement there.
After subtracting Chapman. Okay. Again,
he was okay last year. He wasn't great. He had a 3.7 something ERA. He had an insane walk rate. And he was like a roller coaster. He was like Holderman. He would randomly blow up and get in a situation where he couldn't throw a single strike.
And what did Bednar do last year?
Not good, like a 5.7 something ERA, but because he didn't pitch in spring training and he was hurt from day one, and they didn't really they messed with him there, and he was overcompensating, and probably that's why his oblique got hurt. So yeah, I think that you can directly tie that back to the Pirates' decision to not give him a rehab appearance.
Okay, so to use your logic, then if Chapman was a roller coaster, but somehow Bednar isn't. Like, I don't get it.
Bednar was hurt. Chapman was not hurt.
And who is getting – okay, fine. Who's a Hall of Fame closer and who isn't? Give me the guy in the sentence who's a Hall of – probably a
I don't think Chapman's the Hall of Fame closer.
Fine, he's a borderline guy like McCutchen.
Borderline,
the point is,
whenever Billy Wagner is taking 10 years to get in, Chapman's not getting in.
All right. I don't want to argue semantics. The point is that Bednar and Chapman are not the same guy. So to this whole notion that, like, you know, our bullpen was so vitriolic, we had so many ups and downs, and we lost one of the more stable parts of our bullpen for the guys that, like Holderman, I just don't see the Holderman Bednar thing like you guys do. I mean, maybe if I'm wrong, you put me in the goddamn dunk tank. You could throw fastballs at me at the North Shore 9 thing. I don't care, but I just don't see it. I just don't see it.
We were going to do that 2 years ago at Jim. It's going to be Krabby this time.
I mean, I want to trade. Look, I want to trade Reynolds, Keller, and I would consider trading Paul Skeens because this rebuild, like, I just don't see the difference between having a 76, 78, 79 win team with Paul Skeens on it rather than just replenishing your system with a new general manager and just turning the page so you don't get to 20. The goal is not to get to 20 losing years again, and we're 6 years into it. And I don't get why we're so keen to just redo the same stuff over and over again with these failed general managers. Mark Elias, they had a whole article written about him, about how his entire ego was tied up in the Baltimore Orioles rebuild. You don't think Cherington's ego is tied up in this rebuild, that he thinks he does it so better than everybody else? He thinks he's infallible.
What if the reason for all of this losing is that the Pirates owner is bad?
But we can't change the owner. There's no amount of Yinzer logic. Or I just drove down Carson Street today and saw one of those signs. God love it. It was right there. I almost got into a car accident.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was driving and I saw it. And I like I hit the, you know how like you do, like you're just like, holy shit, what is that? And it was right there. And I thought of this thing tonight. And Bob Nutting sucks. I'm not defending Bob Nutting. Like, he sucks. All of Major League Baseball ownership sucks. The entire system is bullshit. But the idea that somehow we need to focus on him instead of getting a lean and mean general manager in here to do the job.
I just think it's just recycling and having this. We're going to probably have the same conversation 5 years from now, because I think they put unrealistic restrictions on GMs. I mean, right now is a great example. They have a hole. They're trying to win now. His job's on the line. He can't sign a free agent.
But they're not trying to win now.
I'm not a nutting apologist like you are.
I'm not a nutting Oh, are you out of your mind?
Okay.
I'm not a nutting apologist. I'm being a realist, and I live in the real world. I don't try to gaslight myself every day with a bunch of nonsense to try to like tell myself that something different can possibly happen. The dude has said millions of times in the media, which part of which he owns, that he's not going to sell the team. Why would you not believe him? Mark Cuban isn't going to come in on a unicorn and save you anyway. He couldn't even save the
fully believe him. I 100% believe that he has no intentions of selling. I think actually, if I had to guess, and if I was him, I would wait until MLB expands. I would get the close to $200 million from the two expansion teams, and then I would sell.
Jim, I'm going to kill you, Jim. Jim, if I ever see you, my dude. I just don't lie to myself every day as a Pirate fan, because you know what?
You should try it. It makes life a lot better.
No, John, I'll part with this. There was a time when a baby crab told all of his friends that the Aramis Ramirez trade was good because they knew what they were doing. And that Bobby Hill might be a really good shortstop. And I went to bat for those guys, and I just thought I knew better than them, right? I just knew. I was you, man. And all I'm saying is that I got lied to because they didn't know what they're doing. And I said, maybe if Jose what was his name? DiNardo, back me up. The shortstop, the guy with the thing on his mouth who was a bust, who came in the Ramirez trade. Jose, was it? Are
you talking about Cedeno?
No. Yes. Ronnie
Cedeno.
It was like Ronnie Cedeno and another guy. Jack was who's in the Ramirez trade. There was a really terrible hitting shortstop who was like a strikeout master. If Rosati's out there,
I should remember, and I forget now.
Rosati, help me out. The point is
it's Ronnie Cedeno. It's Ronnie Cedeno. It's not, but
it was. I want to say it was Jose Hernandez, but I don't think that was his name. It might have been. Anyway, the dude was a strikeout machine, and I tried to argue 7 ways from Sunday, and how this guy was really not a strikeout machine. And I said it with a straight face to many people. And so all I'm saying is this: what they tell you is this team is historically inept and historically bad, and all of the things like the Santander arguments and these are free. All we just need to do is Hernandez. That's it. That's who I'm talking about. Thank you, Matt P. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I'm spiraling. Thank you.
I'm
just telling you, I don't have that optimism because I was once you, dude. I was drinking the Kool-Aid is my point.
Just so you're aware, I don't drink any Kool-Aid. I look into everything. I look at so many stats. I look at so many stats as stupid. Waste a lot of time looking up numbers to try to back up and reinforce this delusion that I have. But no, I got numbers to back it all up. I'm not blindly optimistic that Henry Davis, for instance, is going to save this season. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying Henry Davis, Andy Rodriguez. I'm not saying Jack Sawinski is going to come back and be even better than he was in 2023. That's not where my optimism is coming from.
All right. Your optimism is coming from the fact that Cherington just needs a little more time to cook. We got 9 starting pitchers, and they're all somehow major league ready, and nobody's going to get hurt.
I would define major league ready as somebody having success in AAA.
That's fair. But that's fair because you're major league ready. You're ready to make the major leagues. It's not someone who's still immature in single A doesn't belong. That's a fair point. Major league ready is someone who's ready.
Minor league flops and minor league flops are so societally ubiquitous that M. Night Shyamalan wrote an entire character in 2002 about a guy who couldn't make it in the minor leagues to the major. Like it's such a common thing that we are aware of. That you are like,
but hitters flaming out is way more common than pitchers. If you're throwing, you can look at the stuff. If you have the breaking ball, the off speed, the fastball, if you have location, if you have movement. That stuff, you can line it up. It projects. The only thing that can hold you back is injuries or yips. But hitting's another world.
I'm going to stop it here. We gave you guys a closing argument, so we turned into a whole other debate here. But no, I really do appreciate both of you. This is very entertaining. I even went and got this is for you, Crab. I think you might be able to use some of this. It's sending a pack to your house for joining. Thank you for all your time and effort.
Crab Nebula TV is sponsored by Iron City Brewing.
I think you mean Crab Nutting TV.
I'm pretty sure that the title says Crab Nutting. So,
all right, John Cherington, give me some more of that, baby.
Ooh, thanks for calling me a winner. I appreciate it.
Yeah, right. 6 straight losing seasons, my dude. You tell me more about that. Go ahead.
And I was almost about to take you off stream again, Crab, for entertaining trading schemes. I'll let you go. There. I respect your closing arguments, but you're riding that line.
I'm the only user that wants to do something different because I know nutting isn't going anywhere. We're never going to get that payroll, no matter how much Pittsburgh Dim wants to wish it into existence. It's never happening. Rosati, God love him, and I'm not picking on him. He can go on this show and say to the day is long that they should just spend $140 million. It's never going to happen. And because I live in the real world and I acknowledge real world facts, just like we aren't going to cut the military industrial complex tomorrow. It's not happening, whether we want it or not. So, John, you can say it to the day is long, all of these things. And I don't disagree. God, I love you, man. God, I love you. And I know you think I'm nuts. And God, I probably am.
So, Puck,
I really appreciate the conversation. This is fun.
All right. No, honestly, I appreciate both of you for coming on. This was lit. This is entertaining.
Hi, John. I'll see you tomorrow, buddy.
John.
But I do want to do something here because this got pretty intense. So I'm going to welcome back OG, who's been hanging in the background still. OG, send us off with some happiness once again.
Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
There it is. So from OG himself, thank you all for joining. Thank you for watching. We'll be back, of course, next week. Go ahead, hit that like, hit that subscribe, do all that fun stuff. We appreciate you all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube, if you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucks.